Hello there and welcome to CFO Conversations. I'm your host Paula Kensington and I have the great pleasure of welcoming back to the studio Henrik Elstrom. And today we're going to talk about transformation journeys and how we should be thinking about the consistent sort of turning up and the work that we do that might not be the sort of hero type transformational work. And we hear in the last 5 years digital transformations, lots of digital transformations across the whole of business. So it's always been this really exciting big projects. What about business as usual and small transformations?
Yeah, digital transformation sounds similar to system implementation, but it sounds better. I have always been a fan of continuous improvement, which is the sort of be a little bit better than you were yesterday.
Yeah.
And transformation is, they're both change, but they're at different pace and different scale usually.
Yeah.
And I think, it's easier to celebrate the transformation. You can plan it better, it's shorter. Well, at the beginning it's shorter. And it's big, bold change and everyone's behind it, and if you succeed it's a highly celebrated, while being a little bit better every day is pretty boring actually. While I'd say that most of the progress comes through that, non-tiring churn that people do in terms of, you just get a little better and a little better and a little better.
So you spoke about it earlier about the hero, and so maybe 1% improvement, as James Clear talks about in his Atomic Habits. If you haven't read it, then I think you should, because it's an awesome book. It talks about the 1% improvement every day. But maybe it's because that's not celebrated. That's not heroic. The hero stuff is I've saved $5 million on the bottom line, or we've taken EBITDA 5% better. All of that is hero stuff. What about the small wins? What about the consistent 1% improvements?
Yeah, absolutely. We like, most companies have the we need to be proactive, not reactive. But being reactive and quickly is usually highly celebrated. And fighting a fire is impressive. Preventing a fire, not so much. And I think that is part of the issue, that we want to be seen and celebrated, and that happens when we solve a crisis. Not so much when we just make sure it doesn't happen in the first place, even though that is much more important.
Yeah. So maybe as finance leaders, we should be on our leaderboard, or however we manage team success, we should be calling out who's got the smallest win this week, and that's the biggest win of the week.
That'd be an interesting, most consecutive wins.
But and something else we spoke about was it's always great to start a new project. I love this concept about the energy it takes to start something is not the energy that's actually going to see it through to its end, and maybe it doesn't have an end, maybe because it pivots so much during its lifetime that the end is not what it was expected to be at the beginning.
No, exactly. And I think usually you have this view that in 18 months we're going to go from here to here, and it's going to be great. And once you start, you realize you feel like Sisyphus just pushing the rock up the hill, and it feels like it never ends. And that I think it takes a very different mindset. That's the main thing. That's when I'm going to go for a run, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and then you realize it's much further than you thought, and you go, okay, you can still do it. We just need to have a different mindset about the thing.
Yeah, so I would encourage listeners to think about what does transformation mean, and maybe to start reframing some of the language. You spoke earlier about failure of projects, and it's actually not a failure, it's more finessing. It's that reframing of language that actually, 1% improvement every day is transformational. And it's
very.
Yeah, and so mindset is definitely a big part of this. And if we're not shouting about it and talking about it as finance leaders, then it's not going to get the highlight that it deserves. No. Nothing's going to change, right?
No, I think that's right.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Thanks, Henrik. We could talk about that for a lot longer.
Absolutely.